Well, hey, folks, it is me, Pacific, and this is Gigi.
Hi.
So, we thought we would talk. This is a very good friend of mine. We thought we'd talk about the debate, the politics. We're not going to do long time here, but we wanted to do a video expressing us, two different people, two different Americans, about what's going on in the country. And as many of you know, many of us agree that Harris is bad for the country. And Donald Trump has problems. Donald Trump doesn't have polish. But many of us at this point don't care about that. We care about somebody who can run the show. We care about somebody who can keep us out of war. And we care about somebody who truly has leadership skills. And I don't believe Kamala does. And I'm just asking her off the cuff what her view is on things. And Gigi is an educator. She has many years' experience in education, and she's very good at what she does. And she pays attention to things. And we're just doing this off the cuff. So, what is your impression when you listen to Kamala speak? Do you feel that she comes off as somebody who's educated?
No, I don't. I see her as someone that just has a bunch of words that don't make sense. She's not for the American people at all.
Pat, I agree with you. Do you feel that she has made the election more about sex and race?
I think so. I believe that she's there and she just wants the female vote. Females, the feminists, seem like they're going toward her versus Trump. And people who are awake, that know what's going on, see that Trump can get America out of this. But the ones who are blinded and brainwashed by the Democrats, they do not see this at all.
And that's interesting because I have used the analogy that they're like a cult. Mm-hmm. If anybody who is not part of the cult tries to tell a person in the cult truth, they immediately dismiss them, saying, well, they're not part of us, so they don't understand. And you see this, we've talked about this, you see this with false religions. You see this with, you and I've talked openly about evolution. Mm-hmm. And that is a cult. If you don't believe it, you don't believe in science, they claim. And you got your degree in education.
Yes.
And you don't agree with all of the so-called science, do you?
No, I don't.
And you've noticed that people are laughed at for actually believing in the Bible, mm-hmm. believing that Genesis is accurate, that God created the earth in 6 days. And what is interesting to me is that the media and the science community, the educational establishment at large, mocks those of us who would say we don't believe in evolution. Do you recall when you were growing up, was it taught as a fact or a theory?
Well, I went to school, we were in the country, and we really didn't talk about evolution per se.
Really?
No.
See, when I was in school, they did, but they taught it as a theory. Now, all of a sudden, it's an assumed fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, even when I went to college, they, I guess my focus, I didn't have a science class. It was more geared toward human development, how a child develops brain-wise, just physical-wise, more teaching the subjects, stuff like that. Yeah.
So, what is your thought about the media is always accusing Trump of being like Adolf Hitler? You know, neither one of us have read Mein Kampf. We know very little about Hitler except that he was not good.
Mm.
Do you think Trump in any way resembles Adolf Hitler?
No, I don't. I think the media portrays him as that because they see him not as a politician. He's not a politician. He's a businessman, and they know that he can make America great again. He's not in it for control. He's in it to. I believe that he loves America,
Yeah.
and he wants America to get out of what the Democrats have done for the last 12 years since Obama. Then Trump came along. He corrected things as much as he could. Then Biden came along and totally destroyed what Trump had done.
And so quickly.
Yes.
I mean, day one, he signed away the Keystone Pipeline, which would have kept oil cheap for us and Canada. It was a kind of a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you, and to my viewers out there, this is not rehearsed. This is not something I've told her to say. Her answers are her answers. She thinks for herself. So I'm going to ask for my viewers here because I've been very outspoken about Caucasian women and feminism and stuff. This is a good friend of mine, and she does not exemplify any of those things that are the negatives that I've talked about that seem to be dominating traits in most American women. And you and I've had talks in the past. Do you think feminism is beneficial to this country?
No, I don't. I just don't think so. I guess maybe the way I was raised and everything, more so, I'm kind of like in the Little House on the Prairie days where the man is the head of the household. That's how I grew up. That's how I was raised. I think females have taken it too far. They think that they are independent with everything, and I just don't. I just believe there really should be like a nuclear family, whether it be with children, but I just don't think feminism works.
And I agree. But you hear the talk that women don't like men being full of testosterone. You see the transgender community. You see boys questioning their sexuality. And as an educator, would you agree that there are more women in the educational establishment running the show as teachers than there are men?
Oh, in the elementary school? Oh, yes. Last year at my elementary school, we had 0 male teachers. We had 2 male custodians. The principal, assistant principal, they're female. This year we have a male first grade teacher, male fourth grade teacher. Of course, we have the custodian, the head custodian, he's male, just like last year. There's a male parent facilitator, and that's it. We have 63 employees at my school, so we're predominantly women.
Interesting. Do you feel, I don't know if I told you, I read a book years ago called The Incompatibility of Men and Women, and the author, this was written in the 70s, and the author, male, said that he noticed that with decades of young boys growing up under a dominant women education system, that has changed men from being tough and getting a job and being, the man that they're made to be and kind of watered them down. Would you agree with that?
I think so. What I see at school, we have a lot of African American teachers at my school. And the kids there, they don't even respect the female African American teachers. They'll just talk to them in the old way, like you would see probably at any elementary school here where we live, middle school, high school. Now, I don't know how many male teachers there are in middle and high school around here, but the fourth grade male teacher seems like he has a good grasp on his students. And it just seems like, especially the male students, seem like they respect male teachers more than the female teachers.
Interesting. I look back when I was in Mammoth. I remember my math, my reading, English, science, history, or social studies. We did have a lot of men at Mammoth High School. I must say that we had a lot of male teachers. And I know when I moved to Arizona, looking back, my biology teacher, my U.S. history teacher, my Arizona history and government, my English teacher, they were all males. But I also look at Prescott High School. Prescott was a mostly conservative town. It was not a Democrat stronghold. Mammoth, not sure what Mammoth was politically. I think most people tended towards conservatism. Even though we had a lot of Los Angeles people coming up to ski, most people who lived in Mammoth didn't tolerate and I'm sure it's changed now. I mean, man, I left there in '83 and it's a whole different world now. But in the incompatibility of men and women, the author took the stance that many times women try to raise a boy the same way they do a girl, and therein lies a mistake, that boys and girls are not the same. You know that boys' motor skills are different than women. Women can tend to sit still and listen to stuff, cross their legs and all that. Whereas boys, when they're little, they want to get out and play on the playground. They don't want to sit in class all day and fold their hands. And would you agree there's a difference between men and women?
Oh, yeah. Even when I went to school, the boys were always more active. The girls, we would sit there and we would take notes and make sure that our handwriting was perfect. And the boys would just kind of slop it around.
Didn't girls used to have to walk with books on their head to teach posture?
Now, not with me.
But you've heard of it,
yeah,
right?
I've heard of that, yes.
Interesting. And there's Mr. James from New York, good old Long Island. So what I wanted to ask you is, I want to key in on the transgender, because that's dominated the Olympics. You heard about the female boxer got decked by the guy that wanted to be a woman. And they've allowed them to come in. Kamala's stance is she believes that trans should be involved with girl sports. The vice president, hopeful, Tim Walz, mandated tampon dispensers in boys' bathrooms. Now, do you think that I'm wrong in saying there's something mentally wrong with that guy? I mean, here's a guy. We know that a man cannot have a period, right?
Correct.
So what is your thought on that? What is your thought on the transgender? Is it a mental illness? Do you believe it's demonic? What in your educated mind, how would you view the transgender mentality? Somebody wanting to change from a boy to a girl to a boy, actually do the actual physical sex change.
Oh, I think they're very confused. The chemicals in the brain aren't working correctly.
Yeah. And I've taken the stance that they're mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
In my workplace, we have a guy that if anybody calls him a sir, he really has a problem with it. That's the first time I've worked with anybody trans, but had the surgery, showed up in the woman's bathroom. Some of my female coworkers said, I was really nervous when so-and-so came into the bathroom. and he laid down sex toys and tampons. And I said, tampons? And he was standing by the counter against the wall towards the door, viewing to watch people's reaction when the women came into the bathroom. The rumor has it that he has gotten people fired, or she. And I'm like, wow. I mean, do you know the Constitution says something about the separation of church and state, and Congress shall make no laws concerning it, that the state doesn't govern the church and the church doesn't govern the state. But do you believe under the Constitution that we have a right to live our convictions? So do you think it's fair for a transgender, we know he was born a male, do you feel that we should have to respect that and call him ma'am and address him as a female?
No, personally, I do not.
Yeah, I struggle with that.
And in fact,
Jane says a couple French fries short of a Happy Meal.
In fact, as a female, if a transgender male came into a female bathroom at a store or a restaurant, I would feel uncomfortable. In fact, I would tell that person to leave, especially with young girls.
Yes.
And if someone like that would walk into a bathroom and there's young girls in there, and I happen to walk in there, I would push it out, because.
Well, wasn't it South Carolina or North Carolina years ago with a Target?
I remember a Target.
Which one was it? Was it South or North Carolina? The Target was the first one in the nation to allow them to go into whatever bathroom they wanted.
I thought it was in Georgia.
Was it in Georgia? I thought it was Carolina. No, I'm ignorant
sure
on that.
I'm not sure. I just heard about Target being the first one. And when I was, before I got divorced, I remember my ex saying that, if one of those people walked into a bathroom where our young granddaughter was going to the bathroom, he would walk in there and kick his butt.
Yeah, I've heard that said too. Mm-hmm. What do you think about critical race theory? It was started supposedly by a white woman who used to be a editor for the New York Times, which we both know is a liberal publication. Critical race theory is teaching that whites are privileged and we do not understand how much we've hurt everybody else. And it's basically a way to shame us. Here in Georgia, has that been discussed with you? Is that something your schools you've worked in has asked you to teach or be mindful of?
No, but the first time I ever heard about white privilege was when I was working at my previous school, not last year, but the previous year. And I saw a commercial telling white parents, you need to get this book and explain to your children about white privilege. Okay. So I have never had white privilege. I went to college. I paid it off myself, worked at Kmart, worked at Walmart as a third shift stalker, which was a lot of fun because back then.
Wait a minute. Did you stalk people?
Yes. I did. I'm sorry. You didn't know that, did you?
Wow. I reconsider our friendship.
No, it was fun. Back then, Walmart was not open 24 hours. So we had the whole store to ourselves, all the workers, and we would just be cutting up, had the music blasting, and it was a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun.
Yes,
now you can't do that anymore.
No.
Everything's become so serious.
So white privilege, no. What I have is what I work for. No one handed it to me on a silver platter.
What do you think about, and I told you that you have ladies today, I'm almost 60. You're in your 50s. And young women today, women in general, if you, and I've noticed here it's different. I can actually compliment Black women on what they wear, how nice they look, and they do not get offended. Mm-hmm. But if I do that with white women out west, you're liable to end up in the office. and I'm not talking about sexually inappropriate remarks, what is your thought about women looking down on men simply because we think they're attractive and we show an interest? What's your thought on that? Because there's women now that, oh my gosh, he thought I'd be into him. What's your thought on that?
Well, I'm a little different with that right there. I'm not one to get upset. When I worked at Willis Foreman, the custodian, he was married, I was married, and he would always say, "Oh, you look cute. I like that outfit." And yeah, I never got offended or anything. Now, my whole teaching career, I've worked with African American women, Christians, so I've been blessed with that. When I worked in Greenville, I worked with 3 Caucasian women, and I did not perceive them as being offended. I have grown up in a different kind of generation. Currently, I work with 2 African American women. We work well together. We're like a well-oiled engine.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we'll do things. And we had a custodian. He no longer works at the school I currently work at. Him and the head custodian got into it. But he would come in our classroom and he would want to talk to the kids. And he would just say, "Oh, you guys look cute today," or whatever. But none of us were offended by that. But we do not have a lot of Caucasian ladies that work at my school. There's myself, lady across the hall from me, a couple around the school, but the majority are African American, and we're mostly women. As far as like, I haven't experienced it, but from what I've seen on YouTube, it seems like women are kind of taken aback if someone compliments them.
Yeah.
It's almost like their crap doesn't stink.
Yeah.
And you just have to stay away from them.
You grew up in a conservative home?
Yes.
So your mother and father would vote Republican?
Yes.
And you would say they were both God-fearing?
Oh, yes. I grew up in the church.
So when you see this Democrat stuff out here, does it shock you? Just
yes.
The way they look at Trump, the way they look at us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it definitely. I mean, I think it all started with Obama, tell you the truth. When Obama hit the nation and destroyed us as a country, I mean, he did such harm in the 8 years.
Do you feel he ran on a successful resume, or do you think he played race card?
Oh, I think he played a race card. I mean, okay, so I have a good female African American lady. I worked with her for 5 years. I remember when Obama won the election, and she said, "Oh, I am so glad that a Black man became president." See, a lot of the African American culture people are going on the color of their skin. They're not going on, can they run a country?
Well, and you remember part of Dr. King's speech, that a man be not judged by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. Do you think that the bulk majority of African Americans forgot that part of his speech?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Do you think, because, I've said, when I was a kid, I had a little dog sitting in a wash bucket, and it was a paint by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, blacks vote by color.
Mm-hmm.
Raphael Warnock in Georgia hates Jews, anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian, very anti-white.
Mm-hmm.
He won by a huge margin in Georgia.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
He's not a good guy.
No.
And I remember when I got to work the next day, one of the black women said, "We got George Warnock in." I thought, I need to walk away or I'm going to open my mouth.
Mm-hmm. I call him Warlock.
He is. He
yeah.
is. And even in Georgia here, I had just moved out here from Colorado and was shocked in 2020 to see it turn blue. I had left Colorado to become blue, and Georgia, there's a chance that it could swing back red. But no matter what both sides are saying right now, I don't trust the polls.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm going to trust is the day after.
Yeah.
The election day to say, all right, what are we looking at? Who won? You know, and my thought is I'm not going to be like Whoopi Goldberg or Snoop Dogg and the others that said, if she wins, I'm going to leave the country. But the truth is, if Kamala won and I had enough money, I'd get out. Because I believe if she gets the helm of this country, Russia and China and Iran are watching things.
Oh yeah,
they're poised. They want to destroy us.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like us. Us playing and Republicans were guilty of this with NAFTA and all this other crap that they did, farming out, you know, Craftsman and all these Black and Decker, Stanley, all those. A lot of them went overseas, and these were proudly made in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
They sold out for cheap labor, and. But let me stop there. Why do people get so offended at a red hat that says "Make America Great Again"? And now the Democrats call us the MAGA cult. I've never worn a MAGA hat because I don't wear ball caps, and I would not wear a "Make America Great" shirt. I support Trump, but I'm not a sheeple, even in the Trump sense. I'm not going to do exactly like I vote for Trump. Not because he's polished, not because he's perfect. I vote for him because I like his stance on the border. Mm-hmm. I like his stance against China. And I like his stance on the crime and supporting the police. And I like the fact, what attracted me to Donald Trump first time around is I said, whoa, he's talking like I do. Mm-hmm. And I've been accused by a couple I was friends with years ago. They said that I lacked social grace. And I thought, what do you mean by social grace? And it's all that, hi, how are you doing today? And the folding of the hands. And, you know, I always make the comments on YouTube here, you know, you got the business geeks. How you doing today? I'm doing well. And it's all fake. It's all contrived. And you know me, I'm not that way. No. You see me working on the house, you know, when I'm frustrated. I like people that are real. Mm-hmm. I don't like prescribed and looking just right in front of the camera and saying the right things. And Trump just walked into the room like a bull in a china shop. I said, man, I like this guy. He's saying everything that's offended because he needs to.
Yeah. I mean, he's not fake. He's not fake at all. He wasn't fake on his show, The Apprentice. And
yet everybody, now back up a minute. Black people got their pictures taken with him. People love Trump. They showed rappers standing with him. Mm-hmm. They stood out in front of Trump Towers. They thought Trump was cool.
Oh yeah, because he wasn't into
the Clintons liked him.
He wasn't into politics then.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now he's into politics. He didn't get paid for being president. He didn't want that check. He did it for free.
You know, at what time he actually said that Republicans were the dumbest people around. But he saw what was happening in the country, yes. And then he said, okay, I can't go for this anymore. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats got really mad. I think what really bothered them is when he said it's time to drain the swamp.
Because they know that they're the bottom of the swamp.
And they very much are. What is your thought? I did a video the other day where there's a cowboy pastor yelling at single 20, 30-year-old men because they're not going out and choosing a wife and saying, you must be socialist. I want everybody to take care of you. And ironically, he's saying that, but I know many women that make good money that they'll date a complete bum. But these guys aren't getting dates because something has shifted. From when you and I were growing up in the 70s, we could look at a guy and a girl, smile at each other, and you pretty much had a good chance of getting a date. Mm-hmm. Now today, if I looked at a pretty woman and smiled, chances of her ignoring me or giving me a dirty look are pretty high. It isn't like the 70s anymore. Is that accurate?
I think so. I think The women nowadays, they have they're career minded. Um, yeah, when I was 32, I bought my first house. Um, I wasn't like, I'm career minded, but
Yeah.
I'm not in that box. I'm not something like that kind of woman.
You're not like some women say, I don't need a man, I can do it. You're not like that. You
No.
wanted to do something, you wanted to shine and excel,
Mhm.
but you don't have a fist in the face of man doing it.
That's correct.
And what do you think of Taylor Swift on your own cognizance? How do you look at Taylor Swift? She all of a sudden became popular, was dating the Kansas City Chiefs football player, and she's anti-Trump, and her music is singing over and over about failed relationship. And in tandem with that, what do you think about all these women that make statements that all men are assholes, all men are no good? Do you believe that, or do you believe that maybe their choosing ability was screwed up?
So let me go back to Taylor Swift. When she first came out, she was country. So yeah, I did listen to her some because she was good.
Yeah.
She was good at the beginning. Now she is totally different. I saw your one post that you put. There was this black gentleman. He was going over the lyrics of her current songs.
Yeah.
The lyrics were man bashing. That she really was out to get men. She's not the same like she was at the beginning. I think fame has gone to her head. That there's a lot. I think they call them Swifties or whatever.
Yes. The fans.
Yes. I have a friend. I kind of follow her on Facebook. She was my high school best friend, and her daughter, who is 26 now, they went to, I think Taylor Swift had a recent concert in either France or Italy. Anyways, they took a trip not long ago, maybe a month ago. They went all the way over there to see her. My ex-granddaughter, who is, I think Clara is now 11 or 12, she's a Swiftie. They're caught up in the moment. I don't think she's a good role model at all for any kind of female. As far as her not liking Trump, I think she's just another control freak, and she would want the Democrats to get into the office so that the Democrats are all for the elite. They want the elite, and then they want everyone below them.
Yeah, and I agree. And what's ironic, they promote socialism, but look at the bank accounts and the mansions, and look at Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, where she has all that.
Oprah talking about how she knows what oppression is, how cool. She's been experienced racism. How many white women do you personally know that have 8 mansions and are worth $3 billion? Can you name any?
0.
I don't even know a white woman out there that's worth that with 8 mansions. I think Liz Taylor had a lot of money at one time.
Yes.
How many mansions did she have?
I'm not sure, but she was pretty wealthy.
So, and she was.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about Oprah?
Oh, well, Oprah. I remember Oprah. I was in high school, and I don't know if people remember this. Oprah, of course, had her talk show, and she was really heavy set. I mean, really heavy set. I remember the boys in high school saying, "Oh, you can get lost in Oprah's crack."
Oh, gosh.
But I did watch a couple of her shows, not a lot, because growing up in the country, even in high school, I went out and not played, but went out and did things, skated, talked to my friend on the phone, stuff like that. But Oprah has changed. drastically. I think she is only for the elite. I think she is only for having certain people succeed. I think she uses the black community. She does not care about them. I do not think that she believes in God. I don't know which God she believes in, but it's not the God that we know. She definitely does not believe in scripture or anything like that. I think she just wants to be in power with the Obamas, the Clintons, whoever else is up there, Nancy Pelosi, Bill Gates, whoever wants to oppress the American people and to just make it a one world government under a digital currency.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. What's your thoughts on Mark Zuckerberg? He built an empire. He's worth billions. And as you know, I've told you how many times I've been jailed on Facebook for posting something that was on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I got jailed, had a post removed. It showed a black and white photo of Adolf Hitler looking over a map with his men leaning over like a table. Mm-hmm. And somebody had put in there, Facebook staff looking to see what they can jail me for my posts. That was removed. It was a violation of their community standards. Mm-hmm. But they can call Trump Hitler. They can say, fuck Trump. Is that ever banned on Facebook?
No.
Never.
No. I put stuff about Biden, and you can see where the stuff I have put disappears. It's it's a false.
Or they fact check it. But Zuckerberg was pulled before Congress, and he admitted, no, they're opinions. Mm-hmm. Well, then why are you punishing people who disagree with your opinions? And what do you think about the ABC moderators? I know neither one of us watched the debate. I'm glad, because as and I'm going to tell my viewers, I confessed her the other night, I got to stop watching this crap because I get off of work. I work very hard. I've got a totally different job now, and I'm physically working my butt off at my age. And I come home and see the news feed, and it's angering. The Salon, the Independent, the Hill, the New Yorker, the Atlantic, HuffPost, they're all waste management, garbage truck material. And every day they're dogging Trump. And you read the comments by the liberals on those. And I'll read one honest comment. I get 75 responses. I don't read them. I don't respond to them. The liberals will only listen to leftist crap. Anytime the rest of us say anything, we're uneducated, we're stupid. Oh, you probably believe in Noah's Ark. Yeah, actually I do. And where I was going with this is you have women today that are college educated, as you are. Mm-hmm. You got your master's, right?
Yes.
And you got women and you got Democrats saying, because they have a college education and most Republicans don't, they're smarter than us. Do you believe that a college education makes them more intellectual or more smarter to those that do not have beyond high school?
No, I've met the dumbest people in the world have gone to college forever and a day. They're only book smart. They have absolutely no common sense. And when the book becomes elite and you got more different kind of ideas and things that come out, they're still stuck on what they learned 50 years ago. No, a college degree does not make you smarter at all. The lady I work with, one of my paraprofessionals, she's never been to college, but she knows ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, more than I do. She learned it hands-on. Sometimes hands-on makes you smarter than book smart.
See, and you're smarter than me academically. But you have told me, and I've said I didn't go to college, and I'm asking this not for tooting a horn, but you have told me that, and we were talking about this the other day, that you said I have the ability to teach.
Oh yeah, you could teach history. I think you, of all the subjects, you could teach history and you could captivate those children. High school, I would say high school. Elementary school, you would have to, hate to say this word, dumb it down.
Yeah.
For the elementary, just because cognitively they're just
They're not there yet.
Yes. High school would be perfect for you. You could captivate them. You have the ability to do that. And yet you didn't go to college to get a teaching degree. But I'm telling you, the 4 years I did for the bachelor's, 2 years for the master's, I didn't learn a damn thing. It's all hands on. When I watch in that classroom, you forget all what you learned. Art appreciation, music appreciation, the development of the human brain, the different types of learning disabilities, the different types of things that can go wrong, X chromosome, extra Y chromosome, blah, 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 blee, blee, blee. It doesn't matter. You can take college courses on autism. No. You go into the classroom, you got the autistic kid. It is hands-on because each autistic kid is different.
Yes. Let me ask you this. We had and as you know, I don't drive school bus anymore, but we had a driver yesterday where I work. He was on a high school route and a student moved up, sat by a girl in the front seat. The girl was squeezing up towards the bus window to get away from him. The driver simply quietly said, "Are you uncomfortable with him sitting there?" Before she could answer, the kid cussed him out, called him the N-word. The driver's black. The student is black. The girl was black. He cussed and yelled and screamed and reached up, grabbed the driver, which jerked the steering wheel of the bus. And he came to the school, unloaded the kids, told he had called on the radio for security or the police or something. That didn't materialize. Told to go to school. Principal came out and he said, "I want to press charges." And the principal said, "Are you sure you want to press charges? Are you really sure?" And he told me today they only gave him a 10-day suspension. Mm-hmm. Now, just what? Was it a week ago? We had a 14-year-old in a school outside Atlanta.
Yeah.
Shot 2 students, 2 teachers, killed them, and several were injured. And we've talked about, this is not just here, but some are worse than others, where school districts look the other way with bad kids. They won't remove them from the bus. When I drove the bus, I had kids start fights, fly over the seats, middle school, throw things out the window, call girls demeaning names. At one point, I picked a girl up under the armpits and walked backwards and said, "Sit down." And people say, "Oh my gosh, you touched her." Nobody had a problem with that. I didn't hurt her. I wasn't going to stand there and watch her bloody somebody's face on my bus.
Yeah.
And, I got out of school bus driving for other reasons unrelated, but I don't miss dealing with that. And the drivers have told me over and over, the schools won't do anything. The schools won't do anything. All they care about is the monies that come in from the federal government or the state or whatever. And you and I both know that the education system is not dominated by conservative Republicans.
Oh, no.
You work in the school system, and I believe you have told me yourself that virtually everybody you're with was a staunch Democrat in the teaching industry.
Oh, yeah, the ones I know. Yeah, I mean, Eva, I told you about one of my coworkers who teaches a certain subject that he comes and sees me, sees the kids twice a week. And he told me straight up, he said, if Harris does not win, do not expect another increase in your salary from our current governor, Governor Kemp. And I said, why not? Why do you think Governor Kemp cannot give us that $5,200 raise or $5,800, whatever it came to? He said, because you got to think of this. And he used my name. You got to think of this. We are flatlined in the state for giving raises. Now it's going to have to be through the government. And I said, well, if it's through the government, why didn't Biden do that? Why couldn't he have done it those 4 years? He said, oh, no. See, he was kind of working his way into it. But now, if they get elected, Gigi, you'll see that raise. And I'm thinking to myself, you seem like I respect this man. When he told me he was so into being, he's a Democrat, obviously, because he said, I don't know who in the world will vote for a Republican. He said, Democrat's the way to go. You vote Republican, you're going to see this country go down. I'm just listening to him and I'm thinking to myself, you do not have a clue. But I'm not getting into a pissing match, not at school. I still respect him. I don't agree with him on his political views. If Biden could not give us a raise to keep school employees in school, because there are a lot of people leaving the school system. I mean, nationwide. There was like...
You remember I told you, was it 6-7 months ago, about a video where teachers were leaving because the kids are beating up the teachers, female teachers, and they're disrespecting them from one end of the country to the other.
Mm-hmm. And this has gone on for a while now. Back when I lived in Greenville, South Carolina, I worked at Beck Academy. I had my special ed kids. Did general ed 1 year. Said, heck with that. No way in hell will I do that again. So I just stay with my sped. But anyways, there was this male teacher. He was ex-military. He went to teaching. This is a middle school. And I know it was a African-American female. It could be a Caucasian female. You know, females, when they get that age, middle school, high school, they think that they're all that on a stick and they can talk to anyone the way they want to talk to someone. And you know that, working with kids. So he jacked her up, pushed her against the wall. Now, I don't agree with pushing a kid against the wall, but he went ahead and resigned. But that was back, that was back in 2001. So we have had systemically, the educational system has gone downhill since then. It's gone downhill because, and I'm going to go and say this, I know it takes a village to raise a child, but it starts with the family. It starts with the parents.
Absolutely.
And you need a male and a female. We don't need two males. We don't need two females. We need a male and a female. That's the way it works. Now, that's just my opinion. The family nuclear system has kind of deteriorated from there. Where we live, the females seem to be the dominant person in charge of raising the children, and we can see that's not working.
I'd say almost 75% of the kids out here are raised solely by women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bring this up because I brought it up before, being that this is 53% black and only 35% white. You see a lot of it with the African-American children. They're raised by women.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them did not have the maturity when they had the child. And I didn't get into confrontations with mothers. I've always learned to de-escalate. Mothers come up to my boss. Yeah, I need to talk to you. You wrote up my boy. Yes, ma'am. And I found that if I just talk to them like I'm talking to you, I had moved him to the front seat a month ago. He kept running around up and down the aisle. And I gave him an assigned seat. I said, I didn't write him up. I kept trying to work with him, I said, but when he flew over the seat the other day and grabbed the girl, third grader, saying, bitch, C-U-N-T, whore, blah, 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 and calling her the N-word, I have to write that up.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God, when I talk commonly to African-American women, and I just told them what I had done, how I tried to work with the kid, and what happened, 9 times out of 10, they'd come up the 2 steps on the bus. You didn't tell me all that. When you get home, you're going to get your ass whipped.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Nelson, let me give you my number. You have a problem, you call me. No problem, ma'am. So I'm living proof that if we handle ourselves a certain way, even with hostile she-bears,
mm-hmm.
that, the Bible says a calm answer turns away wrath.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And I get along with a lot of the blacks down here. But I also see, you know, we had a local company called Busby's Heating and Air Conditioning. I have nothing against them. I was thinking about calling them for air conditioner quotes for replace.
Mm-hmm.
I got off the highway today, turned at the light down here, and the guy wasn't behind me on the highway, but the light's long down here when you come off of highway. And I saw the Busby's van behind me, and as soon as I made the left, he made the left, and he gunned it around me. Just went, I got up to the speed limit. There's another light. So, and the bases were loaded. I thought the light was going to change. So I got up to 45, but I was covering the brake. I didn't have my brake lights on. The guy hauled around me and cut right back in front of me to stop and turn left at the street before mine.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind thought, how much you want to bet it was because of the bumper sticker on the back of my truck?
Oh yeah, probably so.
That said, Trump. And this is what's going on, that they talk about that we're hateful, that Trump's a dictator. And I'm like, that's funny because my gas was lower.
Mm-hmm.
You moved in here in February. I told you what my AC bills were, and the AC bill jumped up more than double.
Oh, yes.
And we didn't have it drop down. We had it on 80 degrees
mm-hmm.
to keep the bill down.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Power went up. They said 12%. I believe it was more. I heard Biden say, I'm going to tax the electric companies and the natural gas. While out of the other side of his mouth, he's telling us to go electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Now, as a teacher, does that make rational sense? Does that encourage people to want to go electric?
Oh, no, I wouldn't. I would not want to buy an electric car. First of all, I believe that electric cars, the government can control us that way too. They can shut off the electric
power grid, and yes. You can't go anywhere.
Yes. Or if our friend Russia comes along and turns off our power grid, there it goes. And I think it can happen. All they have to do is just have that little satellite, turn off the internet. We cannot go to the store. Everything is electronic. Everything is connected to the internet. It happened in Grovetown, Georgia. I was going to the Walmart. I walked up to the store and they said, sorry, we can't shop. Our computer system went down. Can't do cash, can't do anything.
So much for the old ring them up registers.
Because it scans it. Everything scanned. So,
do you remember they had that barcode out when we were little kids before they started having the barcode scanners? Do you remember that barcode was on the back of everything?
Oh, yes.
And we all wondered, what was it? What was it?
Yeah,
we had no idea that all the way back to the 60s, I believe, that was on the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember back, some of them would be like 283, so you put 2.83. And bring up, ding, ding. I remember the cash registers like that.
Do you, and you believe that in Revelation, that there's a time coming when an Antichrist comes, you're going to tell everybody to get the mark, whatever that is, on the forehead, the right hand.
I think it's going to be a QR code.
You hear Biden, they've been wanting to get rid of cash.
Mm-hmm.
Because with cash, somebody could pay me for a job, and if I don't report it, the government knows nothing about it. Now, the minute they write me a check, that's trackable.
Oh, yeah, because you got a cash.
My paycheck's trackable. It automatically goes to the IRS, how much my employer paid me and stuff. And you hear the left accusing us of conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at them censoring free speech. You look at them driving up the prices of stuff. You look at, what's your thought? Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, ordered all the restaurants, all the hair salons shut down. But ironically, Nancy went to a hair salon in California. It was open, and she walked through there with the towel on her head, no mask. Gavin Newsom, with his wife and medical staff, not related to him, went to a French restaurant and got a truffle dinner. That was what the news said. No mask. And when he was confronted, he just laughed.
Mm-hmm.
But Nancy fined people, what was it, $1,500? And she said, anybody walks through my house, and that incensed us all. That's not your house. That belongs to the taxpayers.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning the House of Representatives. And I've criticized her when she says shuffering and sounds like she's an alcoholic when she turns her S's into SH. And I laugh when I hear Democrats say they're smarter and more educated. And you read stuff from the Salon, the Hill, the Independent, crap tabloids, garbage tabloids. It's not news. And how did America get to the point where you have millions of people? They're saying the exact same thing about us.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have Democrats say, how do you have millions of America that follow this Trump? And you can't get them to believe the truth. I said, wait a minute, we're saying the same thing about you. Mm-hmm. So which of the two on the scale is the truth? So what I do is I look at, I have more money. And as far as Kemp, did he not give us bonuses for working for the school system?
Yes, you're talking about
generous ones.
Yes, I think
from the state.
Yeah, one year it was 2,000. Last year 3,000. This year we got a raise, and we're supposed to get 500. Now, if the lady that was running against him,
Stacey Abrams,
yeah, she would not have done that.
No, not at all.
Mm-mm.
They don't believe in giving people anything except their voters.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting, for those of you that don't know, Georgia had a giant cash surplus. And so Governor Kemp gave certain state employees a bonus in December and in April that was anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Democrats. Now, Kemp, I know he had his problems with Trump, but Kemp is a conservative. And I'm like, look at Democrats. You know, they gave money to all the wrong people during COVID-19, and you have to say that so you don't get the sticker on Google. And it's interesting that a governor of Georgia actually had money to burn. And the Democrats in Washington are just pissing it away. Well, what do you think about our government taking tax dollars, sending them to Pakistan for transgender studies? What does that have to do with us?
Oh, that has nothing to do with us.
Or money sent to Sri Lanka to help them fix a boat.
You know, Democrats have been doing that forever. I remember watching the news when I was younger, probably in my early 20s. They were taking taxpayer monies and doing studies on pigs and stuff. The government's been doing that forever, just wasting our money.
Jim Russell leaves an interesting comment. He's talking about Missoula is actually the liberal hotbed of Montana. Montana is a red state. I've been through Montana. They're good old school conservatives, but Missoula is a college town. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of liberals there, and their city council's voting to raise the electric rates there. And yet their own people say that Missoula is one of the most affordable places to live, and it is actually not. Missoula is more expensive than the other places in Montana. And you know, the joke's been made. I'm a California native. And when California started moving to Denver, it changed the dynamic. They're moving to Montana, and Montana's not happy. And when I was in Colorado, I remember they had the little green and white license plate bumper sticker said, please don't Californicate Colorado. And it's sad because Ronald Reagan came out of California. And people say all kinds of crap about him, but he was a good leader. Mm-hmm. People complain about his trickle-down economics and stuff like that. I don't know enough about that. I was young. He was the first. I had turned 18. He was running for re-elect, and I had voted for him. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny. You look back, Jimmy Carter, we had the Iran hostage affair, something like 200 plus hostages. You remember that?
Vaguely.
Of course, you were younger than me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Carter couldn't get him out. Reagan got in office, and we got those hostages back. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. Trump, no matter what the Democrats say, Trump did not get us into a war. Trump met Kim Jong-un, something the Democrats did not even attempt to do. They trash talked him. And then they come out and try to be so lofty and say, him calling him Rocket Man, calling him, and they were both calling each other. John Un called him Yellow Man. And I said, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But guess what? Kim Jong-un, no matter what the experts say, softened when Trump came over there. And people can say what they want. I don't agree with Kim Jong-un. I think he's a tyrant. He's leaving half his country in starvation while he lives like a luxurious piglet. But Trump taking the time to see him, I still believe in what the Bible says, love. Trump took the time to meet him, and I don't care if he says that had an effect. He didn't threaten us or try to shoot off rockets in those 4 years. Mm. Now that there's all this crap going on, Kim Jong-un is making threats against us, siding with Russia. China and Russia formed an alliance. Iran, we know they're in bed with Russia because Iran gets their armament from Russia. Mm-hmm. And America and Russia both have been guilty of using proxy wars, using other nations, because they know they can't go up against each other. So they used Iran and Iraq during OPEC. One was funding one side, one was funding the other. And, I still have questions about things. Who really shot JFK? JFK was a Democrat, but I believe if JFK were alive today, he'd be appalled at what his party's become.
Oh yes, the Democrats at the beginning were a good party.
Yeah, they were better than they were today. I think it's interesting that the media, Kamala Harris in her opening debate, tried to play the race card against Trump. And the Democrats actually believe Jim Crow and KKK and all that was Republican-led. And it's actually a provable fact. It is a documented fact. The KKK was started by the Democrats. And the Jim Crow laws were started by the Democrats. And the Democrats protested against ending slavery, protested against all of that. And then the Democrats in the 60s did an about face and tried to secure the black vote. But do you believe that the Democrats have helped elevate and better the blacks, or do you believe they have still kept them down?
Oh, they're keeping them down. I mean, just see where we currently reside, what's all around us.
Oh gosh.
Liquor stores, lottery stores. Liquor stores, lottery stores, and marijuana places.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to keep the people down, keep them drunk, keep them spend their money.
Keep them high.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for answering these questions. Back to American women, do you agree? I had come back from Hong Kong, and I was on a high when I had gone after that gal from 2008. And as I told you, that went down in flames. Mm-hmm. But I noticed after I got away from her, I dated several women over there. They were sweet. They were nice. They were feminine. And I come back here, and you go into the airport, you sit in the waiting area, and you even try to look at a girl and have a conversation, and they're just like. And you and I have talked about this. You said you worked in a county years ago in a school district where you saw white women were not so nice to you as a coworker in the teaching industry, and you've noticed that women have gotten ugly and nasty towards us now.
Oh yes, mm-hmm. Yeah. Back toward what you mentioned about with the school system. That's when I was a resource teacher, and that's when the SPED teacher goes into the general ed classroom. Well, not all general ed teachers, females, were nice enough to, it's kind of like a marriage. Co-teaching is a marriage. You have to get along with the person. You need to go ahead and it's not yours, it's ours. You share. You don't want the SPED teacher just to have the SPED students. You want to share the kids. You don't want to single them out. So yeah, at that particular school, the one particular school, that was the first year they had SPED kids bused to that school. And the general ed teachers that were forced to co-teach were not happy. But the situation I'm in currently, females are different. Last year there was a situation between the 3 fifth grade teachers. They did not get along. One of the African American teachers told the other African American teacher that both in 5th grade come after school, and we
were they not? They were using language and threatening to beat up each other and go across the street to the gas station after work with all the students and everybody that happened to walk down the hall here.
Yes.
And none of them got fired for that.
No.
But the kid that grabbed the driver's hand the other day, I saw the driver this morning. And I said, what happened with that? And he said, well, my ride was quiet. They supposedly gave him 10 days off the bus. I said, man, they should have thrown him off for the entire rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And
back
if
when
I
we
was
were growing up, that person would be
that's
gone.
right. And when I was a kid, if I or anybody else had tried to grab the driver, that'd be an automatic. That would have been, my dad would have KO'd me for that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he would have tore up my behind, as the locals around here say. And I'm glad you joined me on this. It's amazing when I make comments online. You see these scientific articles, and they'll just throw something out there that this is 1.2 million years old, and I'll just simply write dates are false or dates are inaccurate, and you ought to see what happens. People write back, the trolls, and and I suppose you have a science master's and you know what you're talking about. So they set you up. If I say, no, I don't have college. Okay, I'm going to listen to you. And what has happened in America is people, they go to college or didn't go to college like myself, but they sit under the college educated people, especially in the science. And I've told you, there's no observable evidence in the fossil record of missing links or transitional life forms. You see a complete Triceratops fossilized. You see a dragonfly with a 3-foot wingspan. Well, how do dragonflies get so big? And that goes back in with Genesis when Methuselah and them lived to be 600, 700, 8 years. Things didn't die like they do today. So they grew and grew and grew. Dinosaur means terrible lizard. They just grew.
Yeah.
And you see ground sloths that were 15 feet tall. There's places in South America where there's these arches, like almost a cave, and there's scratch marks. And scientists have said they're from ground sloths. And they affix a date to something. And if you question it, you're stupid. There's something wrong with you. And I left a comment one day online. I said, just because something claims to be science doesn't mean it's so. Nobody should check their brains at the door. Just buy it up. We need to check the evidence for ourselves. And if there is no evidence, then we can write it off and refute it. I got pounced. People, and I just said, they're going to argue with you fools. You guys are laughing at me, but there's millions of people in the world that don't believe this. You're going to sit here and tell me that you're smarter than us? You're going to sit there and tell me that you got proof?
Oh, they use that carbon dating, whatever that
and
is.
It's false and fallacious.
Yeah. And
I look at humankind, and if there is no God, how is it that we haven't destroyed each other? The atoms, the very existence of us, if God were to just cease to be, this whole everything, the universe would just vaporize.
Oh, yeah, because it goes down to the ozone layer, to the correct H2O that we have.
Look at the balance, we have on Earth. And you got NASA wasting billions of dollars of taxpayer money trying to find life out there. And how successful have they been?
Zero.
And yet they still, well, there's evidence on Mars of rivers. What if God made it that way? You know, it's like I use the argument, my F-150, I can go out and say, oh, it just created itself. People go, come on, man. That's what you're saying about us.
Yeah.
And we're way more complex than that pick-em-up truck.
Yeah, that's right. Just like a watch. You have to have a watchmaker. The watch doesn't just sit there and all the little parts come together. No, there's a watchmaker.
Yeah.
It's like.
So do you believe that at the end of the day, teaching kids that there is no God, that we came from primordial slime. Do you believe that that's benefited children?
No, no, no. And I just am very blessed that I do not have to teach that to my group of kids, because I'm more like I'm all wrapped up in being a teacher to a nurse to a caregiver to my students. If I was in a classroom where each state tells the school system, the teachers, the curriculum that they have to teach. Being in Georgia, if I taught elementary science, if they said I would have to teach a unit on evolution, I would just leave the profession. I wouldn't do it because I don't believe in it. I'm not going to do it.
And you teach severe and profound with special needs.
Yes.
But you've also taught general ed.
For 1 year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was just math and language arts.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because we switched.
And you and I have both said that the special needs are easier to deal with than the regular ed. The regular, especially in the county we live in, the kids are off the chain here.
Mm-hmm. Now the grass is not always greener on the other side in that other county that we know about, because the kids may come from environments that are
you mean the county's got more money and more expensive real estate?
Yeah.
Well, we've said rich kids can be brats too.
Yeah, because if that child gets a B and that child deserves a B, but mommy and daddy say no, that child deserves an A, then it can also be pretty hellacious on the teacher too. So the grass is not always greener on this other side. Like I said, it's been a systemic thing with the school system from back many, many years ago, and it's just been a snowball effect.
But look what you said. You said that it takes a village, but ultimately it comes back to a man and a woman properly raising their kid.
That's right.
Which all goes back to what God said.
Mm-hmm.
The school system, by teaching them, teaching kids it's okay to be trans, and Tommy can look down his pants and say, I'm going to be a girl today. No school district has business teaching that.
No. First of all, the kid, cognitively, the brain is not developed enough to rationalize stuff like that. I do not believe that the government should step in and tell the parents, oh, if your child wants to be a girl, you have no say so. That is wrong.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you, fans, for watching. We thought we'd do something off the cuff here. Both of us are concerned about the direction of the country. And I know many of you are too. And I don't want to say all we can do is pray. Everything we can do is pray. And what bothers me is when I have to tell myself that God may allow our country to be handed to the devil himself through Kamala. But here's the thing that we all have to remember is that God will still hold her accountable for the crap that she does. Every one of us. And whoever's put in a greater position, greater expectations will be placed on them by God. It's one thing if you're working in a factory shoveling manure around all day. It's another thing if you're in charge of a country and you're making policies and legislating stuff that is hurting people, keeping them from making a living. And she and I didn't ask you your view. What is your view on abortion? Do you believe abortion should be allowed because of rape? Do you believe abortion?
No, under no circumstances should abortion be allowed. There are so many couples that want a baby, they cannot have a baby. And besides, it's murder.
Yes.
It's a baby. The day, the hour, the minute it's conceived, it's a human.
But you hear the Democrats call it a fetus, a tissue blob. And you hear the Democrat women say, it's my body, my choice.
Then you know what? There's something called birth control that those women can be on. It lasts for 5 years. And then you got the pill. So.
Or if all else fails, a condom.
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening, folks. This is Pacific and Gigi. You guys have a wonderful evening and fasten your seatbelts. Pacific doesn't beat around the bush. We get everybody thinking or angry.